enjoyment of duty and also immediate reluctance to duty, they are in a position to benefit from the other content in service. This it is which refines their perceptions. Problems of generosity. A student going to pay his respects to a Sufi asked him out of curiosity, "Why are those 30 magnificent Herat mules standing in your courtyard?" The sage immediately said, "They are there for you." The student was delighted when he heard that they were being given to him, although he said, "I should pay some price, surely." "The price," said the master, may be more than you can pay by yourself. But the condition is that you tell nobody that I gave the mules to you. I am not here to be known as good among men because of such actions. People in general think that something is good because of an action whose consequence and origin they cannot grasp. "Nothing seems smaller than your price," said the student. He led the mules away in rapture, saying to himself, "My teacher has indeed benefited me. This is the outer manifestation of an interior blessing." Soon evening fell, and within a few moments the student fell into the hands of the night patrol. Its members said to one another, "Let us accuse this man of such and such a crime, which we cannot in any case solve. We can suggest that he bought the mules with the profits of the theft, unless he can account for their possession otherwise. He's probably guilty of something, being ill-nurtured and poorly dressed. Some of us have seen him before and believe in any case that he has associates of doubtful character." Taken before the summary court, the student at first refused to answer any questions about the origin of the mules. The examining magistrate ordered that he be put to the bastinado. In the meantime, another body of disciples were attending the sage, who sent them in relays to follow the fortunes of the first man. They reported from time to time, "He refuses to talk, and he's weakening, they're torturing him." At length the Sufi stood up and made haste to the court. On his testimony they had given the man the mules, the prisoner was released. Then he addressed the court, his disciples, and the public, who were perplexed at the event thus. The repute of generosity has 3 evils. It can corrode the man who has this repute. It can harm the man who admires this generosity if he imitates it ignorantly. It can erode whoever receives generosity if he knows the giver. There should be no sense of obligation. That is why it is incumbent upon the Sufi to exercise generosity with complete secrecy. The highest form of generosity known to the ordinary man is equal to the lowest level of real generosity. It was originally instituted as a way of introducing man to liberality. It has become an idol and a curse. And finally, from Kurt Vonnegut, thank you, Idris Shah. Hocus Pocus. This is fiction. This is 1990, but it's relevant. Okay. All anybody can do with bodies is burn them or bury them, he said. There isn't any nightmare afterwards. Then you have to invest them and make them grow. What a clever trap your ruling class set for us, he went on. First the atomic bomb, now this. Trap, I echoed wondrously. They looted your public and corporate treasuries and turned your industries over to nincompoops, he said. Then they had your government borrow so heavily from us that we had no choice but to send over an army of occupation in business suits. Never before has the ruling class of a country found a way to stick other countries with all the responsibilities their wealth might imply and still remain rich beyond the dreams of avarice. No wonder they thought the comatose Ronald Reagan was a great president. Thank you. And I'll read my own stuff at the end if you're still here.
All right, Bob, you're up.
Focus, focus.
He already wrote it down. You got it?
Yeah. You can hear me.
Yeah. But speak up, because I was here last week. I couldn't hear you in the back.
This requires a bit of introduction, and I hope I get through it because it's ultimately dedicated to a young man that I know and care about. 4 minutes. All right. A story about how I became introduced to America. I was brought up in a Jewish ghetto. On November 22nd, 1963, I came running into my apartment, family's apartment, and because I couldn't believe they would start such a rumor, I was crying out, Ma, guess what? They say Kennedy was assassinated.
Keep going. You're good. You're good.
And I walked into the kitchen and my mother was broken down in tears, and that was my introduction to America. And that is where rage and indignation first found the seeds in my soul. I was 15, and these poems come from a group of poems called, originally Photographs of Everyday Emotions. They were my take on bigotry at the time Obama was president. First poem, Black Youth Anthem. And now a black man is president, and now I am free to use my crack cocaine in the goddamn street, to sell you marijuana and such in my duds that look to you like pajamas, but they're cool, 'cause I don't have to go to school, 'cause I'm free to pee in the goddamn street and to take your phone and your MP3, 'cause I'm free to hang out in the street all day and make you pay, 'cause a black man is president. And I was a slave, and now look at what I am. Just you look at what I am. Just you look, mother. About this is called the Chinese social. Sit morally, perspective, doting in smiles, miles from home. Make yourself at home, won't you, with our good food that makes you love the Chinese. In us alone, sir, won't you come home with our invitation? To you, won't you join us in our gracious, pleasing poverty? Latin dance song. The carambas are whistling like birds dance high in the sun. We are coming back to show you Christ like he is in the family. We are happy now that our children are growing like proud people right here and there in your very midst. You over there, watch us, see us, dance.
About 45 seconds.
35 seconds.
45 seconds.
All right, I'll skip white answer text and gay bash poem, which were the same ilk. And I'll read one more poem. It's called Must. It'll take a few more. It's called Must. Of the beauties of the world needs to be protected, must of the beauties who create be needed, must not there be any beauties at all, nor be to be needed, to need to be protected at all. Must be but the trouble with dust. So must we be ashes to ashes, so must be dust to dust. So must be, if only ashes and dust.
Richard May's up.
May, the actor.
Where's Richard May?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You need like a heads up here or something.
Well, you gotta pay attention.
Screaming man.
No microphone.
But he obviously needs an introduction. Oh, you move, so I gotta make sure I follow you.
So, I can tell you right now, this is gonna be the most innocuous piece tonight. You guys have just been killing it, and this ain't got no redeeming political value, but hopefully. Fact number one, I am extremely proud of my apartment. Okay, with that as a premise, I have a report to make regarding the dichotomy that is otherwise known as my existence. Oh yeah, we about to get deep. On the latest of my usual rounds of thrift stores, I chanced to see a book with the title New York Living. Hold on a second, I feel the need to digress. Please let it here be known that I decree all thrift stores, those now in existence and henceforth, to be formally and solely referred to as emporiums of the first class, to the pocketbooks of the second and third class. Oh, the treasures I've found. Just don't tell Trump. He'll think it's the second coming of trickle-down economics, which he will not only confirm works, but then take credit for on Twitter. Getting back to the subject at hand, I was speaking about a book I found in a thrift store. The book had no dust jacket, but with a title so vague and nebulous as New York Living, I just had to open it up and check out the contents. I was rewarded with a cornucopia of full-color anointed photographs of what the author considered to be examples of quintessential New York apartments. Price with tax, $2. Oh, I am so buying this. Over the course of the next few days, as I read the book, the one theme common to all the apartments profiled in the book was that every apartment owner had what they considered to be a significant collection of art books. Evidently, the author of the book I was holding agreed with the assessment of the owners because she continued to employ hyperbolic words such as formidable, extensive, and world-class to describe the collections in these apartments. As it happens, I also have what I consider to be a formidable, extensive, and world-class collection of art books. In fact, besides my collection of action figures, G.I. Joe rocks. The defining characteristic of my apartment are my books, most of which fall under the category of art. I have books on the visual arts, with the usual suspects of painting, sculpting, and photography being prominently represented, of course. But I also have more obscure forms of visual expression, like Celtic needlepoint, furniture design of the early 1900s, the Hermitage collection of Fabergé eggs, and 2 volumes on La Belle Époque, just to name a few. I have books on writing, both fiction and nonfiction. I have books on plays, playwriting, acting, film, music, and dance, both indigenous and for white folks. I have never taken the trouble to do an actual count, but I feel confident in estimating the number close to 1,500 different volumes. There was no indication given of how long it took the owners of these magnificent residences to mass the collections referred to in the book, but my collecting started almost 40-odd years ago, and a whole continent away, back around 1980 when I was living in Amherst, Massachusetts. My point is that when some as yet unknown celebrity photographer deems my apartment worthy of recording for posterity, my library will stand at the ready to be designated as, you guessed it, formidable, extensive, and world-class. Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Richard, now Sharon. Mr. Bagwell, you're on deck after Miss Sharon here.
That's it.
Sharon
So
Scott
good.
Gish is coming up.
Okay, let me frame you. And you're on, my love.
Okay, this is quote. This is from Paul Robeson.
Yes!
The artist must elect to fight for freedom or for slavery. I have made my choice. I had no alternative.
Oh. Yeah.
And we're back to Kansas City. This is Harry's bus ride. Fort Smith, Arkansas, not the other side of the world, but a good distance from Kansas City. Distance in culture, distance to Harry from his family and his childhood friends. But Harry wanted to travel north. He knew he could make more money, and he knew his bride Earlene would love it there too. So they packed the car with what little belongings they had and a few phone calls, and they were on their way to Kansas City. Somehow they knew they could find work. Earlene had been a laundress, short order cook, and she knew there was a job to be had somewhere. Harry worked at a foundry, and if it had an engine, he could fix it. He was an A1 shade tree mechanic. If he couldn't find the right job, he would find something to fix up and care for it. His cousin Arnold had a garage, and he would set up shop. No sooner than they unpacked the car and sat down, Gracie, Arnold's wife, announced that Mrs. Bricker's husband was retiring from his job. Samuel Bricker had been driving a small school bus for St. Monica's School. St. Monica's was a small and the only black, Negro, colored school Catholic in Kansas City. Grades kindergarten through the 8th. Job pretty simple, pick up lower grades, take them to St. Joseph every morning for Mass, then drive grades kindergarten through 3rd to school, and then the rest of the kids would walk through 18th and Vine over to the school. That was some scene every morning. After school was over, same thing, take them home. Same routine, same passengers. Not so many stops. Most children were pretty punctual since the mothers, our older brothers and sisters, would deposit them at the appointed bus stop. Sometimes somebody would be short, a little short wait, a struggle, but he would go back and pick them up. If one was sick, the parents called the nuns, and he knew the child would not be waiting. Sounds good. All he had to do in the middle of the day was take care of the nun's car and the priest's car. The nun's car sounded easy, but boy, you should have seen it. It was full of dents and bumps and things hanging. Only one nun was allowed to drive, and she was not allowed to go out on her own, so she had a companion. It was either an old nun that was scared to death, or a young one who was riding shotgun. Pretty simple. The priest's car, very good. They kept it in great shape because every once in a while they had to go downtown to the cathedral to beg for money from the bishop. Earlene found a job as a seamstress and as a laundress, and she was very happy. So, there was one person that the priest always went to for money, and he had a used furniture store. Highest rates in town. Come knocking on your door on Friday evening for that $10 payment. But he always wanted the priest to visit his farm in Kansas. His brother and wife, his brother's wife, and 6 children took care of his farm. So there they were, up there on the farm, and this man wanted all of the priests to go visit. The priests weren't so big on it, but the nuns wanted to go. So one of the nuns decides, we're going to go up one Saturday for a visit to the farm. Everything is okay. They go to Mass Saturday morning, they come back, and everybody's waiting at the bus. They've got picnic baskets and blankets and balloons and whistles, and on the bus they go, with a pitch pipe, singing. This isn't sounding too good. Anyway, they're down the Kansas roads. Gotta be careful. Don't want to break an axle. Down they go. Dirt roads, dust flying. Okay, here we go. Bang, crash, a rut. No spare tire. Tire as flat as a pancake. Out he goes to find someone. Gotta go to a farmhouse and get a ride or get someone to come and pick him up. After he goes, the nuns pull out the baskets. They've got food. They roll up their sleeves. They pull their habits back, and they're playing softball. Meanwhile, the priest decides that, I think I better go see what's going on down here and see if they made it. And as he goes, he sees them in the field. They're playing cards, they're playing stickball, and they're playing kickball. They get him up, they have some food, off to the farm. The nuns leave the bus, and it's like the day of the locusts. They are all over the farm. They're in the chicken coop. They're in the barn. They've got baskets and boxes, and they're filling them up. And as they get ready to leave, their whole thing is, we're going to give all of you prayer cards. Well, it was just like the place had been devastated. There wasn't a chicken that was happy. There wasn't a pig that was happy. There wasn't a person that was happy. They had a good time. And as they got on the bus and started to sing, they got out, and people looked at each other and said, damn.
Mr. Bagwell, Tommy Amicola Mecca on deck. Let me block you.
You're just fine.
And you're on.
Perfect. Well, the theme for this particular reading was recovery, which I thought was kind of funny since most of my poetry is about drug use. All of it has been written in recovery, except for the parts I wrote while high. So, with that, let me start with this small quote. To fall in love is to create a religion with a fallible God. And if anything, this is where I was desperately in need of some religion. And this is a letter to meth. To my dragon. I will never forgive you for my favorite memories. The most succulent food divine, now a distant second or three in mine next to the taste of your bellowing breath. My dragon, my beautiful beast, capable of making the least social encounter a feast of reverie. You see, everything is so grand, a pipe in hand, passed along a table of friends like the best parts of philosophy. 1 part flame, 2 parts rocks, and 9 parts grief, but all it takes to displace myself from society into your comfort and care. I was told to be scared you'd eat me. But no carnivorous delight greeted me. Your eyes were sympathy, a loving glare that my soul into component chemistry. You dominated geometry. Length and height stretched, and depth of conversation gave my soul relief. You set me free. A plastic freedom contrasted the golden handcuffs which bind the economy. $100 buys more drugs than camaraderie. You were my American dream. An empty house vast with no love that can last longer than your need to feed. I understand you as much as you understand me. You kept me warm when others were cold. You made me bold when fear was sold continuously on television. Fearless of all when your talon's incision greeted my arms not with pain but with glee. You asked little more than complete control, which was fine because all my soul yearned for was the release of all I had in exchange for romantic memory. What a fucking bargain. You taught me treachery, a skill as useful as the biology which you corrupted exclusively for the gain of myself. I lost only those who didn't understand completely that the tautology of meth is that it's sublime. You commanded time, enabled me to do more with the dime than $1 could buy of food or energy, leaving me enough to wallow and cry on days when recovery was demanded because a soul can only take so much. Your touch comforted me. Your voice whistled and raspy. Dehydration was part of the deal of breathing fire of superiority, chased by an after-dinner mint of jealousy so brittle. I remember how you made the world tremble at my feet, though it is now only I who shake at the thought of losing your presence. Either withdrawal or toxicity of the power and essence that quake my veins to collapse. So tired. I will never forgive you or forget. But under no condition do I regret we met in a time when renewal could be found in the slime my skin sweat from binges honoring the dead and debt of who sat in my heart. Thank you, my dragon. Now please, depart.
Tommy Avocola-Mecca, our main features coming up. Guy, you are on deck.
Say, Mr. T.
Yeah! Let's go!
Okay, so to the theme. I suffered through 12 years of fucking Catholic education. And this is my poem, Recovery. I saw through you. Saw through everything you told me. Saw through the love and charity that was never meant for me. Saw through the history you taught me that was dripping with the blood of my own people and the blood of so many others. Saw through the way you walked, stood, posed with rosary in hand, it was a cheap performance. Saw through the piousness, the infallibility, the holier than thou, the soldier of Christ, the child of God, the miracle of this or that. Saw through the holy book that condones slavery and slaughtering neighboring tribes, demeans women and condemns queers like me to death. Saw through the politicians who serve you, the rich who never challenge you, the addicted masses who never question. You had me until I was 7, but you never had me for life. In Catholic school, they tell us that if they have us by 7, they'll have us for life. It was some idiot saint said that. Right.
Yeah.
Birds own the air, like fish the sea. Surfers, dancers, they show off sometimes because they know we're watching. My father's name, Avicoli, most likely comes from aviculus, in Roman times, a little bird. When I was a kid, I used to dream I could fly. I never wanted to wake up. Mama said the morning Nono, Grandpa, died, a bird sat on his window ledge, waiting to claim his soul. I hope when I'm ready to go, Aviculus will be there to give me wings to make sure I don't wake up again.
Yes! Yes!
My mother's name, Mecca, is a whole other poem. You can imagine where that one goes. Mecca, M-E-C-C-A. That's another time. It's not Italian. It's not Italian. I'm a Mediterranean mutt. What can I say? The elephant has had it. He's quitting the mascot job he's had since the mid-1800s. Hired a high-powered lawyer to remove his likeness from the merchandise. Already ditched the stars, the red, white, and blue they tattooed on him. Packed up his trunk and his jars of peanut butter. His photo with Abraham Lincoln. He's had it with kids in cages. Had it with the NRA and the gun makers. Had it with thoughts and prayers. Had it with Moscow Mitch and Leningrad Lindsay. Had it with Betsy DeVos, who leaves every poor kid behind. Had it with the makeout sessions with Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. Had it with the stench of the bully pulpit religious right. Had it with the Nazis and the white supremacists. Had it with the staged rallies and the daily barrage of lies, over 12,000 to date. Had it with the tweets. Had it with send her back. Go back where you came from and make America great again. Had it with walls and manufactured crises. The GOP and its mentor, Ayn Rand. Had it with those in the party who lost their tongues or consciences or both. This pachyderm's hitting the road and never looking back.
Oh! Yeah!
And I'm going to end with a revision of a poem that I read a few weeks ago I don't know if you've noticed that, well, of course you've noticed that this administration has brought out more and more of the bigotry and ugliness that this country has had since its beginning, but this administration is really bringing it out into the open and making it acceptable. And one of the things, part of this hatred is that more and more fundamentalist ministers are calling for the execution of queer folks. And one Alabama Senate candidate said recently that the problem with this country and the media is that they're obsessed with homosexual activity. So this is my response. The Alabama Senate candidate is absolutely right. I'm preoccupied, obsessed in fact, with homosexual activity. I want it everywhere. On TV, in movies, in every bedroom in America. I want it promoted by the Kardashians and the Republican Party. I want an Olympic competition in performing homosexual acts. I want it to be included in the census. Do you engage in homosexual activity? Never, some of the time, a lot of the time, all of the time. Guess which one I would check.
You go, girl.
I want it on Mike Pence's mind when Mother's not around. I want in homosexual acts we trust in the Pledge of Allegiance and on our currency. I want MAGA to mean make America gay always. I want God to apologize for Sodom and Gomorrah and admit he was just having a bad hair day. And the guy who wrote Leviticus took bad dictation. I want to be engaging in it right now instead of writing this poem. Thank you.
Now you're up. Mitch, you're on deck.
Ready to go. Loud and proud.
I've got one piece I want to share. And it's called Don't Ask. Trudy forgets her purse at the tap room, and we have to go back. Don't ask me how this happens. We get used to things. When stepdad put his fist through the wall, we stared at the hole for weeks. When they left the door open, we didn't see it. After that, not much surprised us. Most every day, it seems some white guy racist grabs a gun and murders innocent people at a school, at a mall, at a church. They plan it out. It sickens us. But we go to our picnic, we go to the movie. Afterward, we go to the tap room, enjoy a craft beer, Widowmaker, IPA, 7%, Mosaic hops. Later, we return for the purse. Don't ask me how this happens. Don't ask me why I write this poem. Why some people with my skin color hate others of different colors. Why they write rabid tweets. Why they post incoherent, hateful words, believe them as gospel, as truth, and then they kill for it. Don't ask me why we're still writing this poem. Don't ask. Just take away their goddamn guns. Don't ask. Be kind to the vulnerable. Keep an eye on your purse. Find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Make it the right place at the right time. And defend those you can with all you've got. Don't ask.
Antoinette, you're on deck.
So I was eating gentrified French fries, forgive me. And I wrote this, and so it has to do with the, I guess the recovery thing, so I'll read this one. But how do you unlearn? As every inch of it is inside you, your foundation is built on these things. Far away in time, but carried with me in my very being. Infused in my skeleton, a part of my joints. This pain is buried deep within. How do you unlearn? How can you be real when you don't know who you really are? Because you've been shattered pieces long ago. You wouldn't know whole if, to be honest, you will never know whole. Everything they did, all their words, the violence, the shame, it sits in here. Hate disguised as love, yielding only pain and brokenness. I still expect, yet I know it does no good. It is what it is. I encourage myself to believe while I still carry it. A reminder of what I needed and did not get. Am trying to go without it. Most days I feel as if I am going to school without a pencil. I manage, but I'm at a disservice. I never met the real them, just pieces that were shattered too, way before me. I guess I am a product of a product. What the heck do I do with that? Better yet, how do I unlearn that? One day they will have to accept what they do lingers and singes, scars so deep my heart can't heal. My pain has no cure, only ointment to soothe it sometimes. One day they will have to accept that what they do does matter, and I still ache. This is the last one. Aching, he wants to jump into the water, excited as he can imagine the wetness on his fur. Splash and shake, find fish and frogs, but he can't. The collar around his neck, is in the hand of a woman who cares more about her screen than his splashing in the water. He fights and twists, pulls, and even barks, soothed by the hand that holds the leash that keeps him from his joy of splashing through the cool wetness and being a dog.
Yeah.
Buford, you're on deck.
Antoinette, give it up.
Thank you. Okay, some more recovery. Fat girl wears hats of illusion, compromised burden belonging to can't. Ride bike, wear shorts, eat in front of people. No dancing either. Compulsive addictions rule hungry heart where worldly wealth like wet blankets smolders fire within. Can't live, can't love, disaffection at every turn, persecuted with prejudice. Fat girl's isolation spirals to her best friend, sugar-laden, deep-fried Foster's freeze. Unaware of clerks' ambivalence to baker's dozen brought home to stuffed crevices caused by neglect. Fat girl wears solitary verve without expectation, nevermore lies to presence. Acceptance of self, she is dismissed beneath fair, slim, beautiful. Fat girl's strong stance, worthy of love.
Nice. That needs to be published.
Thank you. Woman labors behind closed doors. Pain floats upheld in pale blue pitcher like cream, thick, rich. Each minute shifts further from cozy 9 months. Breath holds deep, long moans, calling him out like siren song over vast seas. She sings him real, takes his time, small, soft, pink infant. Smell cries separate life into being.
Oh.
White foam carries oceans White foam carries world's oceans to shore. Traffic matches roar. 68 years old, reading 8 books at once. I cannot die yet. Breathe salt air, muffled. Summer solstice energy expanding like heat, rising to top floor. Remember when time had no end. Now it's different. Every minute, every night, every morning. Days tumble over themselves. Imaginary lines, meridians, and tapestry. Every grain of sand holds my life. Winter solstice looms. Lunar vibes press inward. Conversation is such an effort.
Beautifully said. Is Jane here? Did Jane leave? Jane? Jane's not here. Garrett, you're on deck.
Bring it right closer to you. And
Oh, baby.
You are framed.
Do what?
Baseball.
Oh?
On,
Oh,
baby.
Roger Craig.
Yeah.
He had a good curveball. He couldn't throw very
Yeah.
hard. I remember. Anyway, that's bullshit. Anyway, restraint. Of course, I want you to love me. That's not the question. We won't know whether that's going to happen or not until we give it a little longer. Sure, we're graying a bit. That doesn't really mean much, does it? I just don't want to scare you away, you know? Power. Power stalks the powerless. The people on the street proclaiming their independence, frightening themselves into thinking they have something to persist for, while a man in a new blue Mercedes is late for his meeting on the latest projected layoffs and goes on thinking that his prosperity is the only thing that matters, his kids in good schools, his partner well fed. In the morning, another man with a gray coat he found in a dumpster on 16th Street forages through the same dumpster for abandoned breakfast or maybe someone's dinner from the night before, carelessly tossed, fed to the metal box. His thoughts drift to his buddy, the former mail carrier, laid off a decade before. While it says Bush's, but it should be dumbhead that we have right now. Trump's army plans its next assault, a bulge of money in the country's defense wallet, led by, and the dumb motherfucker again, the smirk on the crowded little features on his face twitching nervously in the Washington, D.C. elementary classroom. Oh, that was Bush. It's hard to tell the difference. Just informed that the Taliban had attacked the United States. He bites the corners of his mouth, reflecting someone who should probably, as poor as he was at that also, go back to Texas and buy himself another ball team. You know how hard that is for me to say as much as I love baseball. I just hate some of the idiots, all of them probably, who run the baseball team. Because the poor little $5 million a year baseball players compared to $50 billion a year owners. Okay, anyway, that's enough. Thinking like a machine. We're machines, and we think, don't we? Cybernetic pioneer Claude Shannon said that. Reductive materialism, emergent materialists, all that nature cannot buy. We can't have created computers. I can put my words into one, but can they think? My head gets fuzzy. I get tired. My circuits probably worn, especially in fatigue, to a fine frazzle. Am I an idealist? Taoism reveals the way experimentation with the facts of the afterlife, if there is one, considered revolutionary. Are you a materialist? Is it reasonable? A good theory of consciousness must be more than a plausible story or a philosophical language game, Wittgenstein said. I grind out the possibilities. Think about Marx. I'm going to do one more.
Okay, actually, yeah, make it real short.
This is a short one. Alligator. Like an alligator, I have not quite survived the Gulf Coast swamp. My scaly skin, damp, peeling. The feel of the West Coast sun beating down in March, outside endearing me to a better life after being shut down. I look back at the humid and the arid air of California, beaches and oceans on each shore, the dilapidated house, my furious brother's warm breath blasted toward me, the dogwood trees, our dubious shade, and the near 100-degree heat and humidity, my walking away to his sad frown, my needing yet another drier new day.
Garrett, you're up. Is Christian still here? Christian? Great. You're on deck, sir.
I know. It's as far as it's gonna go. Is that enough for you, Garrett?
I believe so.
It's a good thing Tonga isn't here.
And last month was the 3-year anniversary of this little tidbit. It's called Mario Woods Has His Day. The San Francisco Police Officers Association, in a recent public performance concerning the execution of one Mario Woods, displayed solidarity and unusual petulance even after being given the chance to go first when the supporters of Woods were listening. As soon as POA was done whimpering about how so few of the populace would give them accolades for killing yet another man of color, not to mention a proposed Board of Supervisors bill honoring a day for Mario Woods, SF's supposed finest walks off in a huff, but not before threatening the Supes with all kinds of damnation. That warning did accomplish one thing, a most pleasant surprise. It united the Supes into acting as one, namely to make that day for our Mr. Woods the no-pun law of the land. In a futile attempt to save their performance, the POA wails in up waterworks to empty Hitchhetchy about what about the officers who die in the line of duty. Someone neglected to tell the POA leadership that many officers do have various days, overpasses, intersections, and others named for them for dying in the line of duty. Now it's long overdue for someone to be honored who happened to die in the line of missed duty. And this just in, infantries and babies, including the crybabies, are considering joining forces to sue the SFPOA for the defaming impersonation of their characters. Not wanted, the Congressional Four. Not wanted, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib. Not wanted for the following offenses: progressive viewpoints, socialist tendencies, believing in equal opportunity, believing in speaking one's mind, refusing to stay in their place, refusing to get with the program, refusing to be happy doormats, being willing to upset the carts to make waves, being women of color, being proud of being women, being proud of being of color, being proud of their identity, being anti-fascist, calling a spade, and a chump, being, well, just not being white males in MAGA hats. If you see any of the above insurgents, immediately join them, for indeed all decent folks should want such as them on your side.
That's right. That's right.
Christian is up. Bob Clifford, you're on deck.
Judging them as they're walking out.
Thanks.
Sky brightened to the radiance of an H-bomb blast. Close, quasar flash. The escaped convict from the outer galactic dark dungeon. Megaurora, near miss, irradiation, dodged. The Bionic Centennial Festival begins with the cutting of the ribbon over the latest robot's exposed hard drive. Its operating system was derived from the brain functions of a millipede. Election night, la-di-da-da. The San Francisco Embarcadero at the end of Pier 17. The enfant terrible mumbles, da-da. Applause follows the Swiss spoof, as if to soften the blow felt around the world. The ghost of Harry Truman winks. Hindsight vanquishes oversight. Your farce sight, it's your dada. The pledge to Sybil's course in familiarity is as potent as the inebriated actor's gift line, expression of commitment to a lover's inadequacies, the winnowing of secular ideals into antipodes, to Astor Place, to Santurce, to Tanger, but not to regret purging tears, to Charlotte Amalie, sweetened by a wistful Garrett's doo-wop phrasing in a dark alley beside the latest conspicuous bar in the Yankee trusteeship, home of the jaded middle-aged esthete, whose parlor and library, whose cats and light dimmer, whose companionship on the deck in front of Fearless Freddy's Yacht Haven lookout for prolonged sunset phantasmagoria.
Oh.
Bob, you're up. Mr. Clifford, you're up. Bob Clifford? No? Who's after him?
Was it Bob?
Oh, Bob's coming. Bob, you coming?
Oh,
Huh?
there he is. Get strong,
Yeah.
bro.
Okay.
Get strong.
With an anchor steam, I think.
It's all about the entrance.
With an anchor steam.
That's great.
The way it should be. You good? How's this for you, sir? Is that about right?
Good.
We gotta make sure we hear you. Yeah.
Well, you will.
Okay. And then let me frame you, big man. All right. Ready to go.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me back. It's always good to be here. So anyway, I've got a couple poems about Wyoming.
Closer to the mic, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Gliding over Wolf Mountain on thin ice, heading down at the Brown Eye on a glimpse of a pulse. Dark skyline of the entrapped. We are white men invading the white men who invaded first. The Red Desert with its own soul, not from a history, the God's gift of the original natives. Taking a left at Wamsutta, past the highway bar that is filled with vampires, not all owls from trees, there are no trees. The rising sun of the east on a below zero morning keeps the tires on the rim of the road. The monster appears, iron, chains, mud, pipe. Time to pull up with all of our fingers. The truck travels north out of the sand, tumbleweed. The challenge begins on a cold, snowy night. We have no dreams from the dead island of the invasion. Keep the tires on the white line rim of the road. Friendly skyline of the lights, Rollins, not even a tourist trap. How did the natives dream beyond a day when you can get lost in a whiteout, walking home over the bridge by the whorehouse with the welding trucks out front? Folklore has it the ladies of the night are from Mobile, not even Reno. Sorry, I did a bad job with that.
We liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, here's the next one. Wyoming. At Devil's Gate, where your dreams died with your broken wooden wheel. Dead deer, no tripe. The ashes twirl with the rocks. Gate to death, pray for forgiveness to finish the journey, herded by the seekers. Wolf Mountain sings a song of redemption to the repentant. Which way west, which way east, which way south, which way north? Come up over the mountain, say they, the unforgiven terrain greets you. To the river, to the future of chastity, the pass in the mountain that saves and not kill, to the future memory, to the sacred, to the sacrifice, to the morning you started west, only knowing the sunset of the west. Brown eye brings you to your knees, looking for the pass from the Wind River, on a lonesome road with no water. Stars are the map for the human prey. The wagon train to Death's Gate on a howling windy night. When the mud froze, the horses died. The people crawled inside the cavity to breathe for their America.
Mm.
And I got
A short one.
It is
A short one.
Short one.
Yeah.
Short one, yeah.
Right. Okay. The casket makers for wars on a long crooked road. One size fits all. Who they put there, the same person who traveled to die. The pine box without finish, being prepped for the morning sun, prepped for the lunch hour, prepped for the dinner hour, prepped for the story hour. The casket makers for wars carry a soul, not a body. Who is in the pine box that is carried to a hole? Will the dirt fill the soul? Will God find the soul? Will the 80 fingers that carry the casket be different after and holy? As the casket makers pound nails into the invisible hole, the edge of the hammers are dense that deliver the final answer, destination, and required requiem of precision. The makers of caskets for wars have a memory. The flowers are put on the casket with the bodies that cannot smell. Do those flowers go to the rest home after the casket with a soul, not a body, meets the hole that is straight from hell?
Is that your work? That's your work?
Yeah, thank you, and please don't damn it. I said thank you.
Oh, okay. I will.
Right.
You're welcome. Welcome, welcome. Is Cesar Love here?
Yeah.
Come on, Cesar.
There you go.
All right. Is that good for you? You want me to lower it a little
that's
bit?
fine.
Okay. Let me frame you, Mr. Love.
First poem's called Four Corners of the Sky.
And Greg, you're on deck.
You hand me a picture of a sunset. I would offer one back to you, but my balcony faces west. Instead, I deliver you of midnight, dawn, and noon. 3 corners of the heavens. With your sunset, they are 4. A diamond of night and day. A jewel to share with you. This pond, a quavering mirror. It wants to reflect the sky, the clouds, but breezes blur its surface. A skeeter mars its stillness. I look above. My mind holds the clouds like clay and makes them into angels, chariots, palaces. I look below. My mind holds thoughts of you. The pond becomes still. On this mirror, I see your face, beauty of the deepest sky, beauty that quiets all, even the wind. Trees fall. One tree, withered and ready, falls in the forest. A death screech heard by the deer, the frogs, the eagles and sparrows. A death screech heard by the spruces, by oaks, by redwoods. Another tree, strapping in green, falls in the forest. Its peal heard by the deer, the frogs, the eagles and sparrows. Its song grasped by its beloved. This recital vivid and brash, this recital far from the path. The chime of twined branches, the drum of locked roots. Music fathomed by ferns, by moss. Music of trees that fall in the forest. This face, for days it is chiseled like the Rockies, until the summits plummet, the granite turns crumb. For hours a clipper ship slicing sea and wind, until it capsizes. Then it is an upturned raft, grasping to float. Like my handwriting, some weeks it is precise, military, marching on a line. Then, monkey-like, over the fence. For months it is disturbed, fanatic, pointed, a weapon. Then, cramped, protected, small. Same as my face, every moon readable, every moon mine.
Last one.
Okay, I'm good. Thanks.
Oh.
You're good? Okay. Gray Pawn, you're up. Yasmin, you're on deck.
It's this gentleman.
Mm-hmm. You lower it. There we go.
At the border. Where's your son? Where's your daughter? Are they sleeping safe and sound, or did they snatch them at the border? The punishment for immigrants entering as refugees and seeking asylum is detention and arrest at the behest of a president, and all that's evident is that their kids are no longer beside them. From early native invasion through the height of slave trading, it's a regrettable but familiar refrain buried in the DNA of this nation. Separation used once again as a deterrent marked stay away to anyone caught wearing the wrong color skin in the good old USA. While those with no souls are quick to say, well, only a few illegals got displaced and they shouldn't have been here anyway. The callous disregard for family and kin since this country's beginning sure ain't nothing new. Couples have been split and their kids shipped off to God knows why or even where to. Now some are kept in cages like in prisons or in zoos. When parents get deported, babies defend themselves in court. How do these families get reunited when nobody seems to know what to do? Meanwhile, a first lady paid a visit to see firsthand just what these folks are going through. But she undermined it all by sporting a jacket with the message scrawled, "I really don't care. Do you?"
Oh.
And this next poem is not my poem, but I wanted to read it because I heard someone bastardize this poem yesterday. A member of the Trump administration, Ken Cuccinelli, I believe his name is. And he decided to add words and just screw up the whole meaning behind this by adding on who can stand on their own 2 feet and who will not become a public charge. Well, this is the poem, The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus, and it can be found at the base of the Statue of Liberty. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles, from her beacon hand, glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command, the air bridge harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Thank you.
Jasmine? Who's on deck after Jasmine? After. JJ, you're up after Jasmine.
Yasmin.
Jasmine, my apologies.
Well, why? Why is that?
It's why.
That's good.
That's why. I'm not going to read today recovery. I've just come out of death. It was a very, very, very bad accident. If my son had been where he usually sits, he would have been dead. The car's totally totaled. And I would have lived the rest of my life knowing that I'd killed my son. So I'm still in a state of shock, total shock. I have to pinch myself to know that I'm alive. And I just want to say I appreciate everything. I look at the moon, I look at the stars, I look at roses, I look at things I've never looked at before. But I'm here, folks, and this has been a place of solace for me for so many years. I go back, way back. Johanna and Buford was there, I know, and some others were here, you know, of course, Dan was here. So I've always come here when things go wrong or things go right, and I love to share everything with people here. But I'm here, I'm alive. Can't believe it.
Thank you.
And who's after JJ? Karen? JJ's up, and Karen, you're on deck.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure. Hello. Being with you again. Speak about recovery. I've stepped in blood so deep that receding would be as tedious as going on. At any rate, that was said by Shakespeare. So on with the confessions. The lioness of verse. As everyone knows, poet Maya Angelou is an iconic figure and is rumored to control the ocean waves, continually lashing the shores from America to Africa unabated. A similar fable was told by a sailor man over a bottle of wine who wrote pitiful lines of verse, and smelling of a wish, he left in despair, and his complaint with you I will share. It was she, Maya Angelou, who done it. Those hips wide as two continents have seduced me. After finding me on Facebook and seeing the pearls in her eyes and feeling the ambrosia of her voice, attracted and overwhelmed me. Without stopping, she pumped up my mind with backseat promises of ice cream and popcorn, filling me up with desire, then driving me to YouTube, persuaded me to confess the details of our roller coaster romance, which filled me with the hope of love any male would have died for. I felt like a bright-eyed teenager on the first day. My thoughts raced ahead to the banquets and sorries planned for my homecoming and the entourage surely awaiting my arrival. Over blue skies and amber waves, I flew to be with my blushing bride, who would personally greet me with open arms, and it was Maya Angelou who done it. Reaching the beach, I was not prepared for clanging church bells and a disturbing voice shouting, "Stop playing games, Buster. Never ever will you kiss Maya lips, and never ever will Maya give any support to your uninvited attention." I'd been on a wild goose chase all alone, And I was devastated. And it was Maya who done it. Running with my broken heart and joining the priesthood was all I thought about. I'd become celibate for the rest of my life, and she alone would be at blame. Then my ego rebelled. No way was little Willie going to go out like that. Cast away in some strange limbo, alone without my queen. I would not retreat without a victory. One chance alone I give Maya to repent. Then would come my sugar-coated demand. Yo, Maya, what do you do when you are alone? I direct port-bound palace, fool. But by what contrivance do you pump up my swagger to think of pulling a galley such as yours? Those gigantic hips, filling me with desire, setting me on fire. For what benefits could possibly remain? Then to my surprise, a royal stamped lumber contract laid at my feet. It had to be a gift from the celebrated diva, hiding somewhere in the wings. The lioness of verse had finally roared, if only in my dream. Thank you.
Karen's up. Did Emery leave? If not, Rob, are you gonna? Are you? You didn't sign up.
I didn't. I got a 2-minute song if there's time.
Okay. You'll go after Karen then.
You'll finish her upper.
No, we have the last word
Oh,
for that.
you got the last word. Okay.
Is that right for you?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you. I'm going to read tiny things from some of my self-made chapbooks. This is, and recovery, I just thought of, recovery is buy back the guns, ban all automatics. That's my idea of recovery. Truth. Truth seems occasionally like silly putty, filling in the cracks, amorphous, or poured into a mold to be formed and delivered as expedient, broadcast in bits of sound, creating verbal repetitions, beating on the ears until believed. We mourn the end of democracy as if we must succumb to the power of the corporation, and yet each corporation is persons, each with a soul, a conscience, each corporation, an entity of entities, a conglomeration of independent souls, as democratic as we, with the power of each of our souls as beholden to justice, as we with the power of each soul, each corporation, a soul of souls, a conglomeration of conscience. A tower in Gaza. The 6-year-old boy builds a tower higher than his head, a tower in Gaza, made of a child's building blocks. He then backs up and runs into the tower while all the blocks fall around him. Al-Tafer Tower is down, he screams. They are all dead. Blocks still falling create the rubble of the tower that fell 2 years before on August 23rd, 2014, when the child was 4, during 30 days of bombing. And then 50 days of bombing, massive killings. A 12-story apartment building with 44 dwellings was felled in seconds with an Israeli bomb, killing all inside. The fiery devastation still dwells in a child's mind. The smell of death in Gaza remains as he builds towers, breaks them apart, and weeps. Builds, breaks, screams. They are all dead, and weeps. A child at the border. Her hands are warm. They hold their warmth when they touch each other or another. They warm her cheeks when she weeps and holds the dampness of tears. They hold on to her heart, keeping it warm. They hold on to her soul, keeping it from disappearing. When her mother vanishes at the border, she asks her soul to fly with her and take away her loneliness and her fear.
Rob's up. Rob's up, and then we have the last word with Dave.
The word.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Be friends. That's fine.
Oh, you're good.
I would like to dedicate this. This is called Sunrise. I would like to dedicate it to Sharon. This is a very special anniversary. 1 year ago tonight was the first night that Sharon and I spent together.
Yeah.
And in the morning, before she woke up,
I remember when that happened.
and in the morning before she woke up, I wrote this song as I watched her sleeping.
Comatose.
It's called Sunrise. Open up those laughing eyes. Let's feel our first sunrise. Our first sunrise. I love you. Let's sleep in, it'll do us good. Hint, hint, morning wood. Don't that wood feel good? I love you. Morning breath we might find. I'll roll on up from behind. Below or behind. I love you. Sex all night and I did not come. I'll wait till you ovulate and really hum. Hormonal harmonium. I love you. For the first time ever I know no fear. A lifetime of learning has brought me here. Let's share our damage, unleash our pain. Let your tears wash me like sacred rain. Ain't no heaven, ain't no hell, but when you cry for God, all is well. Oh God, I love you. Are you still asleep over there? I'm not going anywhere. Dream on without a care. I love you. Thank you, Boo.
Okay, we have the last word coming up, and then not everyone run away. We have some wonderful raffle gifts, and also a chance for you all to be mini features and the last word and all that jazz for next week. So please stick around. We got your numbers. I'm gonna let you.
About right. Let me frame you, sir.
Let's have a hand for Richard and Vincent for taking over Dan Brady. And we got 9 minutes to go till 10 o'clock. We're supposed to be out here by 10 o'clock. And if anybody here has run a show, and I know some of you have, they have really cooked tonight. So thank you. Thank you guys. Good work.
You guys cook.
Encompass spirit. You've got to bend the notes. You've got to twist the words. Parsecute the language into songs we've never heard. Solomon was loving, of African descent, into the shade every hue played, amorous in intent. Rose of many colors, blood red to moonlight white, lavender cadaver to sunburnt orange bright. When humans are connected by pearls or puka beads, I put you there before me. while tending all your needs.
Oh!
Diversion, incursion to get me through the day while pitching verbal hey! Obtuse, I shun the word, the object of my verb. Seek out bon mot, preferred. Ignore obscure or slurred. Diversion, incursion, thoughts materialize, dangling from my ganglia right before my eyes. Diversion, incursion, why must I edit out the pucker and the pout? Fork in the road, wrong route. Inanities, I shout. Diversion, incursion, imagine if you will, the cup about to fill, with not a drop to spill. Intense the surface thrill. Diversion, incursion, I can't go on and on, your patience played upon, so in a flash, I'm gone.
Oh!
And finally, a little jazz inflection. Fruition, tuition. Explore the resource at your door. Feet are planted on the floor. Single moment evermore. Exercise, then do the chore. If music is to be discussed, it must be played by all of us. If silence is the guessing game, observe the essence with no name. Shed a skin, shed a tear. In the shed you're bound to hear Charlie Parker shedding notes. Empty out the bag you tote. Sack of burden, sack of woe. Jazz or blues the way will show. A perfect sphere Thelonious, piano, saxophone, I trust, will meld and gallop down the hall, explore the universe, discuss, omnibus or port of call, explain the meaning of it all, a ripened fruit about to fall, beauty shines beneath the shawl. Thank you.
Oh!